You're listening to Podcasting Up an Octave, a podcast by Sonivia, the podcasting agency that believes that women and queer people deserve to take up space in the podcasting industry because our thoughts, voices, and stories matter. Here you'll learn how to make a dope podcast that inspires, educates, converts, and most importantly, makes your voice shine. I'm your host, Ruth Spence, and I'm here to take podcasting up an octave. Hello, and welcome back to Podcasting Up an Octave. I am super excited to be here with you. I took last week off, shamelessly. My husband deployed, and at the same time, my kid and I got norovirus, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It was the sickest I've been in recent memory, to the point like I told my husband that going through labor was less painful. So do with that what you will. But anyways, I'm back. I'm figuring out normal, and I'm eating real food again. So life is great, but I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about today's topic, which is just going to be a little quickie, and it's something that has been on my heart for a minute. So today we are talking about podcasting as self-care. And this first came up when I was recording with Salon Confessions. Shout out to Jen and Harper. I love them dearly. That episode is going to come out at the time of recording this, maybe about a week from now. So I will make sure and share information for when that does go live. But anyways, so we had this wonderful conversation. And then, of course, as soon as we hit stop on the recording and we're just kind of hanging out, we have this like epiphany. And that's always kind of how it goes, is I find the best conversations happen either right before or right after you record. And it's just part of the podcasting process that is frustrating, but also kind of whimsical. So what we were talking about was Jen is a nail tech and does beautiful work. I have seen Harper's nails. She kills it every time. But anyways, she's a nail tech and has often flirted with the idea of opening like a wellness center. So if you've listened to their show, a huge part of what they're doing is just exploring different wellness modalities. And Jen has experience in skincare. And like I said, she's a nail tech. She does like stuff with sound healing. She's just very cool people, both of them. But anyways, she has flirted with this idea of opening a wellness center. And we were kind of joking a little bit and just like, oh, how do we combine all of our loves? And we we're like, oh yeah, we'll have to have a podcasting studio in the wellness center, because currently part of what Salon Confessions does is they record while Harper gets her nails done. So it's kind of like sitting at the salon and talking with your girls. And I was like, well, yeah, because that is a part of self-care. And I didn't really realize what I was saying as the words came out of my mouth, but they were like, no, run that back. Like that was something. And I was like, no, I really mean that. And the thought kind of codified in that moment that what I was actually saying is that holding that space for yourself, holding that sacred time to decide to allow the delulu narcissism of thinking your voice matters, holding that time and space for yourself to create is an act of self-care. We talk a lot on the show about how podcasting is an act of rebellion, but I also want to lean in to the cozy side of it that is an act of self-care. That just holding that time sacred and choosing to accept that you are important is a way of showing up for yourself. It is a way of caring for yourself. I'm also right now on this like accountability kick for myself, with my husband deploying and everything, and some other like personal stuff we've got coming up. We're moving at the end of the summer, location TBD, as it often goes. Accountability is really my word of the quarter or summer or season. And for me, that looks like I'm doing 75 hard. And if you're not initiated, it's billed as like a mental toughness challenge. It's started by Andy Frisella, who is a man with a podcast. Let's be so for real right now that he is not my favorite person, but I'm interested in the modality that he conceived of and that has been adopted and adapted by girlies on TikTok who I really admire. So it's basically you're working out, you're spending time outside every day, you're eating in accordance to your goals, you're drinking water, you are showing up for yourself. And a lot of people do it as like a weight loss thing, or, do it as a fitness jump start or restart. And like I said, it's billed not for the weight loss aspects or any of that. It's billed as being this mental toughness challenge. For me, it's really just about being so intentional about showing up for myself and making sure that I have a reason to be accountable, because it can be so easy to just push things off and make an excuse. But if you have something holding you, whether it's a challenge, whether it's a peer, whether it's a mentor, if you have something that wiggles around in the back of your brain and goes, did you show up today? Whomever you're accountable to doesn't really matter as much as the fact that you have that inside you. And I think that accountability is such an important facet of self-care. And bestie, we are getting real fringy and woo on this episode, but just please stick with me, because accountability is one of the most important skill sets or resources in podcasting. Like, I know that on the surface, what I'm talking about right now feels a little unrelated or a little out there, but trust me when I say this is the biggest thing that clients talk to me about, that people slide into my DMs about, that I hear people complaining about on threads, is the showing up part of podcasting. I have clients who, like editing clients, who've said, I would have stopped if not for you. And I don't take that to mean, oh, Rue, you're so awesome, you keep me going. I take that to mean I have someone counting on me. I know someone's going to email me and say, hey, I don't have the episode yet, even if all I'm doing is editing for you. And then I have people who are like my full scale clients who are saying, I don't know how to show up, but you keep me in the paint. And again, I love to go into the mindset stuff with my clients. It's like my favorite thing. In another life, I wanted to go into just like full on like personal training and coaching. I love the cheerleading aspect of what I do. But again, I don't think that it's because I'm doing something that's magical or groundbreaking. I literally think it's because I am showing up and I am saying, where are you right now? What are you doing right now? And why don't I have an episode yet? Like, that is such a major part of what people come to me for support within podcasting. And this idea that I conceived while on the recording with Salon Confessions of that holding of space is a way that you honor yourself, right? Like, there's so much of the conversation, the discourse at large around podcasting is like, who am I to talk about this? Does anyone want to listen to this? Why does everyone have a podcast? But if you are looking at it as a way to hold space and make sacred things that are important to you, that is a way of honoring yourself. That is a way of coming home to yourself. And the accountability further builds trust with yourself. It shows you in other facets, I am someone who will show up. I am someone who I can count on. And that's a very different thing. The self-accountability is a very different tool. And the self-accountability is the first thing that goes out the window for people who are socialized as women. Whether you are gender diverse or trans, especially if you were raised as a woman, and especially if you've got eldest daughter trauma, self-accountability goes out the window first. And, last week, I made sure my clients got episodes out while I was like, having some emergencies, norovirus style. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold space and release myself from my own commitment. And I'm cool with that. I accept that that's the choice that I made. I wouldn't have done it any differently. Had I had something batched, that would have been great. but the batch well got a little dry. And so my self-accountability was the thing I let go of because it's showing up for myself. I'm going to show up for my clients. I'm going to show up for my family. Showing up for me, that's the one that we can push off. And that is something that we all do. You know, it's the easiest to, well, I can't cancel the kid's dentist appointment, but I can cancel my workout class or my ceramics class or whatever, because that's just for me. That when you are intentional about holding that space, about I am sitting down to record, I am taking this time for myself, that proves to you that you are worth that time. You are worth that investment. The same energy that you are investing in other people, you are worth as well. And that's without even talking about your audience. Yes, you want to show up for them. Hopefully they understand that you're a human. But even before we acknowledge your audience, you show up to that microphone, just you and your mic. Maybe you have a co-host. The audience isn't even a part of that. Sitting down to record is such a tough part of the podcasting process because it's so much easier to just let the next episode of Netflix roll or say yes to drink with friends or get caught up at a softball tournament for your kid. Like, there are so many reasons to not show up for yourself. I don't want to harp on this too long, but I just kind of want to challenge or present a new idea, a new way of thinking about things that I don't think that we're talking about enough in this space. And I think it's a really beautiful gift that you can give yourself to keep that sacred. And I think it's wonderful too if you can make a little ritual about it. Brew yourself a nice cup of throat coat tea when you're going to sit down to record, or, you know, light your favorite candle, do something really lovely, sit in your favorite cozy spot, do something that really makes it feel like self-care. Because it can feel cringe and sterile and uncomfortable to show up on a mic, especially if you're solo. Do something that makes it feel lovely. Because especially if you are a hobby podcaster, if you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it? You know, you should love what you're creating, and you should at least enjoy the process of creating it. So that's where I'm going to leave things for today. Thank you so much for being with me and holding space for me and honoring me going through the real life stuff. I will be back next week. In the meantime, you can find me over on Instagram at Sonivia Studios. You can shoot me a DM over there. You can come hang out with me on Threads. I'm also opening up. I want to start having more conversations on the show with other podcasters. I used to do my Pass the Mic episodes. I got away from it just because recording can be tough with a toddler. It's one thing to hold that space for myself at 10 o'clock at night. It's a different thing to ask someone else to do that. But now I'm in a place where we're going to have some really casual conversations about people's podcasting journeys. And if we have cameos from kids, that's life. That's how I honor myself. And that's how I show up for myself, even in the midst of solo parenting. So if you are interested in coming on the show and talking about your process, your experience, your thoughts on the industry, you know, slide into the DMs, come hang out with me. rue@sonivia.com is an email for me, or you can come drop me a line on the site, sonivia.com. All right, that's it. Hold space for yourself. Remember that you are sacred. And thank you for helping me take podcasting up an octave.